Intrauterine Fetal Demise case scenario is the topic of our discussion today. A 30 years old gravida 3 para 2 came to you with a 6 months amenorrhea, no fetal cardiac activity visualized on ultrasound. She has got history of previous 2 IUDs. How would you manage her? After mutual introduction, rapport building, confirm the details given in the scenario. Ask biodata related questions not mentioned in the scenario, like name of the patient, age, as the advanced maternal age is a risk factor of IUFD, educational status, the occupation, duration of marriage, and the parity because previous IUD is a risk factor, the last menstrual period, and the menstrual cycle, whether it is regular or irregular. Take the detailed history. Ask whether it was planned or unplanned, how was pregnancy confirmed, whether dating scan was done or not, and did that show singleton or multiple pregnancy or not, any anomaly scan done in this pregnancy or not, or any anomaly or hydrops shown in that anomaly scan, any complaint of bleeding, pain, and discharge, and when did she start noticing decreased fetal movement, any testing like knuckle translucency, genetic testing for aneuploidy like NIPT done or not, any test like amniocentesis or CVS done or not, and is it her first episode or recurrent, any scan done or not, any abnormality like cord around the neck or anything else told to her or not. Then, in the differential diagnosis of patient with the IUFD, ask several questions like heat intolerance for hyperthyroidism, cold intolerance for hypothyroidism, excessive thirst or hunger for diabetes mellitus. If it is uncontrolled, that is also a cause of IUFD. Also, the excessive urination is another question for it, and ask about the raised hypertension to assess whether she has got hypertension as cause of IUFD or not, which is, if it is uncontrolled, then that would be a significant cause of IUFD. Then also ask about the history of joint pain, skin rash, and fever to rule out SLE. For sepsis, ask question like fever and specific question related to the source of the sepsis, like shortness of the breath. And for anemia, ask about the shortness of the breath and easy fatigability. And for APLS and inherited thrombophilia, ask about history of clot anywhere in the body, and ask about history related to any growth restriction on the scan and any history of trauma as well. One very important point here is that as TORCH is not a cause of recurrent IUD or pregnancy loss, so no need to ask about TORCH symptom in this case with the previous history of IUDs. Then take the detailed obstetric histories as this patient has got previous IUDs, so ask about the modes of previous deliveries, any antenatal intrapartum complications like PPH, any postnatal complication, any instrumentation done, was it prolonged labor or not, or of normal duration, any episiotomy done or not. Confirm whether the babies died in utero before the delivery or the death happened at the time of the delivery. What were the sizes of the baby, any gross anomalies in the previous babies, any examination or autopsy of the babies done or not, and any history of blood transfusion. Take the detailed gynecological history, obstetric history like any complication in the previous pregnancies, which I explained in the previous slide. Take the detailed medical history like hypertension and diabetes. But as regarding diabetes and hypertension, we have already asked questions in the DDs, so here ask about any other significant medical history. Ask about the surgical history, the personal history of the smoking, drug abuse, social deprivation, the family history of any congenital anomaly, or any significant family history of medical illness. Take the detailed drug history, any drug misuse or drug allergy, any investigation done so far, any management done so far. Then do appropriate examination of the patient, which starts from the general physical examination, including the vital, as BMI is a risk factor. Maternal obesity is a risk factor for IUFD. Then do complete systemic examination, the per-abdominal examination, in which We will do inspection, palpation for estimated fetal weight, Liker presentation, fetal cardiac activity, whether it is present or not. Then do the baseline investigation, starting from blood group and RH factor, complete blood picture, the blood sugar random, hepatitis profile, and the urine routine examination. CRP is done to rule out infection. The coagulation profile of the patient is done, and if the patient is having long-standing diabetes, then take detailed history of HbA1c as well. The fetal ultrasound for fetal viability is done, and the signs like Spalding sign, Roberts sign, or Ball signs are noticed. In the Spalding sign, there is overlapping of the fetal cranial bones at the sutures after fetal death in utero. And in the Roberts sign, which is seen after fetal death, there is the presence of the gas shadow within the heart or great vessels in case of the fetal demise, and it is seen 1 to 2 days after death and maybe as early as 12 hours. In the Ball sign, there is extreme hyperflexion, and the fetus appears curled, which is a finding associated with fetal demise. In the management, first of all, debrief the patient, have sympathetic approach toward the patient, involve MDD, including psychiatrist, and explain the complications like DSC and psychological sequelae. And explain the three options, which include the expectant management, medical management, and the surgical management. If patient opts for expectant management, tell that 85% the patient go in spontaneous labor. Meanwhile, we will do 2-weekly clotting profile as well. If the patient plan for SVD, then do the assessment for the live presentation size of the fetus and do appropriate Bishop score of the patient. Once the baby is delivered, do appropriate inspection of the baby for any placental infarct, any cord around the neck, any maceration to check whether the fresh or old IUFD is there, any peeling of the skin, and any anomalies of the fetus. If patient permits, we can go for autopsy as well. To stop lactation, advise bromocriptine starting from the dose of 1.25 to 2.5 milligram once a day, and increase the dose to 2.5 milligram every 2 to 7 days as needed. However, the dose is usually not more than 15 milligram per day. Early mobilization and avoidance of dehydration is advised to the patient, and discuss the different methods of contraception with her. And after providing appropriate care in the hospital, call her for postnatal visit as well, which include the follow-up in OPD at 6 weeks time to assess the general health of the patient. So that was a complete case scenario, a very helpful scenario for TOACS and OSCE exam. Subscribe on Obs and Gynae and follow the Facebook page of on Obs and Gynae. And if there is any comment, write in the comment section of this video.